How's it going, everyone? So I just wanted to talk briefly here about why it is that SJWs often have such a difficult time understanding economics and philosophy and ethics. And the reason is because many people who are SJWs don't really have the ability to internalize logic. They don't really think based on reason and evidence. They really tend to think more with their feelings, right? Whatever makes them feel good in a moment, whatever makes them feel just or right about something emotionally. And because of this, the only way to actually teach them about economics or about ethics and philosophy is to have them have an experience that is like a physical experience that lets them see the fallaciousness of their reasoning and their belief sets. That's really the only way to do it. By and large, you can't just talk about economics and the philosophy behind economics and get them to change their minds. You're not going to be able to talk about moral philosophy or ethical philosophy and talk about consent and talk about how to create a consistency in consent and get them to suddenly change their minds. They're going to need some type of physical event that changes their minds, some type of situation that changes their minds because they physically experience it. They have that type of empathetic, feeling-based way of living through life, and unfortunately, most of what you're gonna learn about if you're studying ethics and philosophy is going to come through an academic kind of setting. It's going to come through in an explanation that describes things and not necessarily in a way that is materially understood. And if you're going to actually have meaningful discourse about these kinds of things with those kinds of people, you're going to have to do your best to try to have them think about personal experiences or say what they would do in certain situations, what they do in the shoes of somebody else. That's pretty much the best way you can do. But without them actually experiencing and seeing firsthand why it's important to understand economics, especially the freedom of economics and spontaneous order and the nature of consent and maximizing consent and not initiating violence against other people in order to fix your perceived problems of society, unless they actually see the negative consequences of that, they don't learn. And even with this recent election, you can kind of see how that's happening, especially with a lot of leftists who are looking at what's going on and saying, "Oh my gosh, President Obama needs to go ahead and bring back." The spying and stop the war machine now before it's too late. And it's just like these people for all these years were promoting all these different leaders who were supporting the war, were supporting spying, were supporting drone bombing, were supporting assassinations of U.S. citizens, were supporting torture. And now all of a sudden they're scared because someone who they don't like is going to suddenly have all these powers. And now for many of these people, it's just clicking. Oh, that could be a bad thing, to have all those things that government's doing, and then someone that you don't agree with suddenly has those things. Yeah, that can be really bad, which is why you really need to learn ethics and philosophy as soon as possible and make that journey as soon as possible, because if you don't flesh out ethics, economics, and internalize them, people end up making some really irrational choices and supporting some really evil policies in terms of causing death and mutilation and harm and theft. So, that's just my 2 cents on why SJWs are often stuck in their own emotional hurt matrix, because they can't really reason through the nature of economics and philosophy. They only experience, and it's very hard to give someone a full gamut of experiences that helps communicate all the aspects of social and human interaction, that describes spontaneous order in economics, and that describes things with voluntarism and maximizing consent, of course, until it's too late and suddenly you see a government that has all these types of horrific powers, and the ability to enact that against your conceived danger or harm that could happen, because it's not your guy or your girl who's leading the way. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully some more people are waking up and realizing that, hey, it's not that great to just think, oh, you know, do whatever you want there, government, and, get whatever resources you need to torture or murder or steal, because I think that you're doing it for the right reasons. Again, it's at the end of the day, those winds are going to change, and somebody you don't like is going to be at those reins doing things that you really may not like. All right, take care, everybody.